Hey folks, Brian, we got playing. Excuse me, we got done playing RQG tonight. Oh my goodness, excuse me. And interesting situation that continued to spin interestingly. So before my session got started, I was going through. Oh. Simon's Furthest. To get a feel for the lunar Tarshites, right? How things are run in this part of the country where the party is currently hiding out at. And it turns out that there is in Furthest, a temple to shoot. What's the name of the river? Osler, the Osler River. Did I say that right? Probably not. Where's my map? I think so. It is Osler, the Osler River. Right? So there's a goddess Osler River, and who is the goddess? Obviously, it's the water nymph that is the river. And the module scenario I was running has the water nymph of the river, that they call Scylla. So these are actually probably the same thing, which means that the priestess has been out of contact with her goddess for, according to the scenario, 3 months, right? Now, if you want to get really picky about it, it would have been, centuries. But when the goddess has been, is trapped in a sleep and doesn't know, you just commune with her, through her dreams. No issues there. But then something happened and she was trapped and couldn't get out of where she was in the river, and that's when she got upset and crazed, and the water shrunk up. And so there's a temple who worships the river and the goddess of the river, and it's getting all shriveled up, and they would freak out, right? And then all of a sudden she's back because the party freed her. So the high priestess, you're back. What happened? Tell me what happened. Well, these adventurers, they freed me from this prison, and well, who are they? So she does her awakened loon on one of her ships and starts heading upriver looking for these guys. Party doesn't know anything about this, right? So I'm trying to figure, okay, how long is it going to take her to get up there? What's the party doing now? So the party got done with the fight. They did some talking with the naiads and with Scylla, trying to figure out what was going on, what happened. And then they go back with the Basmoli. They have a celebration party, but they've got to go and lick their wounds and try to stabilize their small little tribe, right? So next day the party moves back up to Marof's house, and what are the people at Marof's doing? They're having a celebration because the river is back, right? This 3 months of a drought is not that bad necessarily, although that was the middle of earth, fire, and sea. Yeah, this whole season, this whole year, right? Maybe it is bad enough. So they're all having this huge celebration there. And I've got some notes about the assassination of Vizier Widered, and I couldn't figure out when it was going to occur, but I do know that it was before Argrath does his thing, because Argrath gets into Kodros through Vizier's son when he's in charge, right? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I figure, well, it must have been sometime soon, because we're getting ready to next spring. In my 1631, Argrath's going to start the invasion deal, because in my 1630 Earth season, he's getting married to the feathered queen. The feathered. Shoot, what's her name? The Graceland Queen, the feather something queen. Sorry. Anyway, so I've got bits and pieces of things that are occurring and have to be in a sequence. And so one of the players makes an insight roll. Man, there's something going on, especially with the higher level people. There's something happening here. There's a little bit of melancholy happening. So they go and they meet with Dianthe. Oh, and if you're into live play stuff, live play's in the description. Because I record the whole session, and so there's. Did you get the ball? It was destroyed. Why destroyed? No, no, no. And they tell the whole story, and so she's kind of, resounded. Well, she's kind of resigned. That's the word. Resigned to her situation because she was really hoping to have that bowl to help her with her sorcery skills, so she could help with the power struggle because Vizier's been assassinated, and his son, is trying to establish his power base and control, and it would really help her family name out if she could have these sorceress techniques and power and such, right? So she is she holds a celebration for the party. Now they're back and all that kind of stuff, and I've been trying to tie in some of these Arnaldan assassin priestesses from the Hervornalda temple, right? And I've got a list of 3 of them, so they're going to be here because the moon goddess crushes the earth goddess below the power levels, right? And so they're trying to bring up, and there's some connection, some scenario stuff or something I've read somewhere because I've got notes talking about connection between them and the Shaker Temple and them and even the Clearwine Earth Temple. So there's kind of this underlying Earth Temple sort of partisan thing going on, right? And so these 3 priestesses are here, and they're sort of all in on the whole let's get out of Tarsh deal. And one of them hooks up with Jarstakos, which was interesting, but okay. And so the next day, the party thinks we gotta get going, and so they head in. And as they go towards the docks, there's this huge ruckus going on down the docks. As they get closer and closer, there is this gigantic magical loon, water bird. Some of the players thought a loon like in a moon spirit, right? No. This is a water bird, gigantic, 20 meters long kind of thing, right? Because Batira, the high priestess of the Osler Temple down in furthest, is hunting down the people who freed the goddess. And so she's come aboard, and they're setting, there's some city officials there and guards and stuff trying to, make it a welcoming party. And she's asking about something rather vehemently. Players make their rolls, but, I'll annoy this stuff. We had to get special. Nobody got special. But the bird flew over and her said, hey, looking for somebody. And I forgot what. So they start moving through town, and they can tell she is looking into the crowd, looking for people. And David kind of waves at her, and I'm rolled an +5, so she eyeball beams on him. You! And comes over to him. You rescue her. Where are your friends? All the friends. So she gathers everybody together, grabs the city official, and they go down to City Hall, get a room, tell them what happened. And who are you? And so she, actually somebody, one of her guards, because hey, this is Beach of the Blue, high priestess of the Oslo River Temple, down furthest. And so now the players kind of understand, okay, they're playing with a power player here, right? It's a high priestess, not just a priestess, a high priestess of an entire temple dedicated to the river goddess who they freed. So all this connection stuff happens as I start finding stuff and pulling pieces together. Holy cow, this is going to blow up my face. It's going to get completely out of control. And oh, by the way, she runs around with a party of naiads too, right? So she wants to hear their story. She tells them her story, and then they have some meetings with introduced to different people within the temple hierarchy that she brought with her. But then there's a party that night, and I rolled an +7. So there's an orgy that night, not just a party. This gets completely out of control. And but the next day, the party were trying to get themselves out of this whole thing. And she goes, um, she wants to take them. No, David said something about they had things to do, and I rolled like a 12. So she's getting. What do you mean things you got to do? And so he tries to feel her out on the whole power mechanics of the Frondros, the king of Tarsh, and the lunar governors, and the temple, and this whole power play thing, power balance going on, right? So he's trying to feel her out, and make him random die rolls off the few skills that are in the book, is kind of interesting, because they give her like 6 different skills, one of which is lover, right? And that kind of thing. Very, very broad categories of skills. Politician, that kind of stuff, right? So I'm making these politician roles for her, and based upon the roles I came up with, she is not all into this whole bureaucracy of the empire, right? She is the high priestess of a temple. She should be autonomous, right? And so, even though she's got loyalty to Ferandros, it's not all that high compared to her other passions, right? So she thinks the Empire should keep their hands out of individual worship stuff. Goddess, Moon, gotcha, you're in charge, make it happen. But I worship the river god and or goddess, and so leave me and my people alone, kind of stuff. Is the impression I got out of these dice rolls. I mean, so somebody made a comment about, hey, can we about her taking us around, and she goes, perfect idea. We'll make a victory tour all along the Oslo River. So her plan is they're going to hit every single village and city along the river, and then get back to furthest, bring them into the temple, and then have you know the worshippers and everybody else who works at the temple have a chance to talk with these people who have dealt with the goddess and uh, saved her, right? So she's getting all really excited, mercurial, right? Up and down, up and down. And there's the players, you could tell, are going, oh, this is not a good idea. We don't want to get hanging around in a lunar city, right? Especially where the king furthest is hanging out. But they kind of decide, well, they kind of ask, and she said they'd be under the protection of the temple. Now, how much protection that really is, who's to say? But the temple's right there on the river, so she brings them in. They go in the temple, right? But they do. They make go around. They see everything. And they end up staying a fortnight at the temple. And of course, every night's going to be a party with these naiads and the priestesses who have these high fertility runes and all this stuff. Out of control. But then she agrees to send them back to wherever they wanted to go. And that kind of says, can you drop stuff here, or shoot, takes all the way into Bagnot. And did you really want me to send Bagnot to them? Well, maybe not. Okay, but take us up to one of those port things, boat something or other. And so she gets a small boat, a Wiccan loon, and her priestess does one of her priestesses does a Wiccan loon, takes them up, and off they go. Okay, so a lot of time at the end of Earth season and into Darkness season of things happening, right? Back to Bagnot, hook up with Orlanth. I wrote his name down. Orlarant. There we go. Orlarant, the dragon guy, right? He's kind of their mentor, their sponsor, that kind of thing, and he's there in Bagnot, so he's them. Oh, they started communicating. They sent the shaman. The shaman sent his fetch, back and forth, to let people know what's going on, because between Dianth and the Hervernalda Temple, they're going to work things with Fizir's son, the guy who takes over afterwards. I've got his name already. To help bring in Argrath and his armies to help defend this thing and start taking over taking Tarsh back, right? So they get back to Bagnot, and we've got the end of dark season, and then we've got storm season. And Argrath's not going to do anything during. Oh, the Earth priestesses had heard about Argrath, even though he went with Herrick the Berserk to go to the Black Horse riders, sack their place, which they did earlier. But they heard that from there, Feathered Horse Queen. That's it. He went to go see the Feathered Horse Queen. So I had the players make some couple rolls, and what does that mean? Well, Argrath's the prince of Sartar, and if he marries the Feathered Horse Queen, he then picks up the title of King of Dragon Pass. So Argrath's making his power plays, and they start piecing this stuff together from some of these roles, and so that's where things are happening. So Argrath's going to come back. I don't know exactly when, but either dark or storm season, he'll be back. And it's the army preparing for invasion. And so we got dark season and storm season and sacred time and a certain amount of sea season. I haven't figured that out yet. Of army preparing for war. So we'll go through end of season phases for dark and storm, and we go through the end of, and we do the sacred time rolls as well. And that was most of. Actually, there's a whole lot of role play up front with the whole interaction stuff, which is actually a lot of fun, kind of cool. And David kind of ran with that, which was nice. I had no problem with that. He's a good player and he's a thinker, so that got some information flow going. And then we did admin, end of season phase stuff, picking up skills and power and that kind of thing. And I guess that's it. Happy gaming.